Hey everyone, how are you doing today? This is Omoza from Team 5795, back to the drawing board, and I'm introducing you to the first of our new series, Alumni Interviews, where we connect back to alumni members of Team 5795. For our first interview, we have Taha, who is a former captain of ours who's been in FTC and 5795 for 4 years, two of which I shared with him. And let's get started with the interview and see how Taha feels about First and what First did for him now that he is in college. He is a sophomore currently at Georgia Tech, studying abroad in France, and it's a very interesting career path, or college path at least, and we'll see how that has affected him in his career prospects and how First led him to where he is. So without further ado, let's get started with the interview.
I'm doing good, How are you?
I'm doing pretty good. It's a nice pre-competition hype, so we're getting ready for that. How are you doing in college right now?
I'm pretty good. College is treating me very well. Definitely miss my FTC days,
That's,
but still pursuing robotics as well. So I'm doing great.
that's nice. Why don't you tell everyone where you're going right now?
I'm currently attending Georgia Tech.
How's G-Tech treating you? How's the mechanical engineering program?
G-Tech is good. I'm currently doing a study abroad, so I'm in France right now, spending a semester here. Mechanical engineering is going great. I just got done with one of our harder classes here. It was actually pretty much a FTC season. They had us build a robot within like 2 months, and then we would compete, and they would grade our competition.
Right. So were you actually competing, or was it just like a build project?
Right, we were actually competing. Yeah, at the end of it, we had to run our robots very similar to actually how First would do their competitions, and it was more effort and less point based how they graded it because grading it point based would be kind of brutal, right? But
Yeah.
um, it was a large it was like the final for our class essentially instead of an actual exam.
Yeah. One of the things I was going to ask you was, how do you think First and FTC helped you prepare for anything in college? But I feel like that's the most obvious answer.
Yeah, I mean no, that was an actual like just first season, so very well.
Hmm. So what's the operations for the robot? Like, what were you supposed to do with?
The competition usually isn't as long as the first season is, right? So the challenge is a little bit simpler, and also the materials we have are a little less. So we have to use some Arduino components, very basic motors, some pneumatics, and then some solenoids. With all that, we have like a 30-second autonomous period to do 4 or 5 challenges on the field. It was moving towards like a spinning center in the middle, depositing some ping pong balls in like a correctly colored section, putting a ring on top of the spinning section, and then expanding your robot horizontally to hit these blocks into a certain zone.
That sounds probably like three FTC seasons combined into one.
Maybe challenge wise, but not time wise,
Hmm.
unfortunately.
Yeah, no, yeah, 2 months seems really fast. But I mean, if that's part of your class, then it's kind of built into your schedule. So I think that helps a little.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, definitely.
Yeah. So how is it with? So you're saying that you just finished up one of your harder classes. Was this that class?
Yeah, this is that class. It was almost like a 20-hour a week commitment to that one class. And I still have other classes going on, which is kind of what was the most challenging part about it. Just very high commitment course, really picks up in October, and you have October, November to do this robot. It's for sure probably the hardest course in like my program here.
Yeah, I can imagine. 20 hours a week. That's probably like what some people put in for work hours, and then you just have that for one class. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you're doing mechanical engineering, and you're going to GTech. Have you felt that Georgia Tech has really given you a lot of opportunities in mechanical engineering that you probably wouldn't have found elsewhere?
Yeah, I think so. Georgia Tech is a very big research school. Being based in Atlanta, there's a lot of opportunities that come off of that as well. Everyone's a very similar mindset. Everyone's on the grind set and just trying to be the best engineer they can. In Georgia Tech, there's like this tradition. We call them hell of a engineers. Yeah, everyone's just trying to be a hell of an engineer. It's a very nice environment to be in. I think for sure the people are one of like the driving things. Being at tech, like the driving force of like success there. You just meet very interesting people, very smart people. Overall, great environment.
Yeah. How do you think that being in first maybe helped your outlook on STEM and then going into engineering?
First, kind of just showed me my passion for STEM, honestly. Like, I decided to pursue a STEM related university and my major because of what I did in first, right? Like, when I joined my freshman year, I did not know about all the working parts of an FTC team. Um, and as I started to learn and participate more and more, I started gravitating towards the mechanical aspect and design of the robots. Um, and I mean, you know from my time as captain, and then my time my senior year, I acted as mechanical lead for the team. Um, no, it really just showed me what my passion was. So it did a lot to influence me in pursuing a STEM career.
Yeah, no, I totally get that. I kind of had that own my own situation like that going on, where before I joined FTC, I kind of knew what I wanted to do in terms of engineering. I always knew I wanted to do something hands-on. I didn't know what, and the two main things I was balancing was I wanted to work with a lot of materials and understanding material properties, and also work with mechanisms. And obviously with robotics, we have both because if you remember, like with me, I was doing a lot of 3D printing, and I handled a lot of the filaments and understanding custom builds and custom machine parts. And so that helped with the material stuff, and then being in robotics, and obviously we're working with robots and assembling things that help with the mechanisms. So, I've sort of learned, found the balance between those two. And in my college search, I've been finding a lot of mechatronic programs in various universities, and been looking closely at that. And I think first definitely helped me get a hands-on experience. So like you, I'm also going into mechanical engineering. That's what I applied for. So I'll probably be somewhere where you are in the next few years.
Amazing! I can't wait to see it home.
Yeah, it's gonna be interesting. Sometimes I'll be working on a robot thinking, this could be someone's job too. We're doing this for fun, but then the fun doesn't stop.
No, I mean, you very well could be a roboticist when you grow up. That's kind of where I want my career to go to. Honestly, the work that or the skills that I developed at first were very beneficial in my ME classes as well. Like one of them was just an intro to CAD, and I had so much practice doing that through first, and I use it pretty much in any of my design classes, right? So it really prepares you.
Yeah, no, I look at like course and curriculum structures for colleges and various majors, and I'm seeing the same thing where it's like intro to CAD, advanced CAD, and I'm like, this is the stuff we kind of learn naturally as you go into FTC. And for me, it's like I definitely agree with what you're saying about that wanting to be a big career aspect too, because for me, I'd say the biggest inspirations for going to mechanical engineering were both FTC and I'd say in equal parts NASA with a lot of the work it does, especially with the Mars rover. Working on that kind of robotic stuff is always going to be interesting. And I guess first gives you a mini version of that with your own mini rover.
Have you considered something along the lines of like specializing your degree, like maybe even in aerospace?
I've been thinking about that, and it's interesting because there's other places like if I want to go to robotics, you can also have like Boston Dynamics does its robot work, and then you have a lot of lesser known companies who maybe work in something like manufacturing also use a lot of robotics. So it's always something to see, keep it open. And one of the good things about college, which I can imagine you understand going to Georgia Tech, is it gives you all of those opportunities to try those things out before that major is set and you're off in the professional field.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, that's also honestly one of like the greatest pieces of advice that you can give to someone in college, and I'm glad you picked up on that early. It's just that you have so much time in college to really figure out where you're going. I see a lot of people who end up like with the major they're not very passionate about, and like it's their fourth year, and they still change. When you're young, is the time to explore, and you have all this time in college, and it's what it's for. So really, take your time exploring each degree, right? Switch around between a couple of majors, see what you like, see what you don't like. Um, yeah.
Yeah, and I know that you currently are doing a semester abroad, but have you also done any other internships and whatnot that you've been able to try out different things in engineering?
No, I haven't. I focused on doing classes actually last summer. I'm currently applying to internships. I have a few interviews lined up here and there. It's been a grind, no, for real. There's like a hiring freeze right now in a lot of tech related industries as well. So I have just been applying and applying and applying. But hopefully I'll be able to get back to you later on what internship experience I have.
Oh yeah, I definitely think that'll be good. I know that one of our other former teammates, Sam, he was
Hmm.
actually able to. He goes to UNC Chapel, and he also was able to get a really good interview with some internships. And his dad is also was also a teacher of mine, and he was talking about how these internships gave Sam better opportunities than he does as a professional, educator. And it's very interesting because obviously, I feel like a lot of these opportunities and ambitions are propelled by what first teaches students. I think that students propel themselves forward because of the discipline that first teaches them, in themselves. Like, always push forward, always find new things.
100% I agree. I mean, like, even just the structure of having a competition invites failure and mistakes, and first just tells you to persevere through those. And it's a very applicable skill to not just, your career, the opportunities you're going to get, but just everyday life. Um, so yeah, not only does it like really prepare you in the sense of the skills you need, but also the kind of way to like live your life and discipline yourself as well.
Yeah, and looking back on that with how it first changes, people and how people can grow out of how people grow when they come out of FTC or first. Do you think how do you think first has affected your sense of discipline or self fulfillment or ambition?
I think first put me on a team and a larger team that I work with in like projects and all throughout school and even college. And being on a team of that size, it also showed me kind of like my realization and my inclination for leadership. So like through my time at FTC and on 5795, I realized that not only do I, really love work as a mechanical engineer, but I would really like to become some type of leader someday. And that type of like, I don't know, character, uh, I guess was something that first really built up for me.
Yeah, I agree with what you're saying, and I think I've felt that a lot too in my past 4 years because when you do things in a class or when you do things through a traditional school program, it's always you have a set schedule, you have someone helping you, and you have someone who walks through and makes sure your deadlines are set. But here it's like you're kind of enforcing it yourself, or your teammates are enforcing it as a group, and so it allows you to kind of look outside the box. Where it's like, okay, you have this much time left. How are you gonna dedicate your hours of free time after school towards that? It's not just every Friday we're meeting, but now it's like, okay, let me spend a couple hours on Wednesday afternoons to get ready for our competition. That's something we've been doing for the past couple of weeks. So I see that.
That is actually so valuable because you're also doing it with not just yourself. You're in it with a lot of other people who have to figure out how to commit the same amount of free time as you, and it really shows you how much about how you work as a person, on a team and individually, right? Your quirks, where your strengths and weaknesses. If you take any time to reflect on what you've actually done at first, you could figure out a lot about yourself. I feel like.
Yeah, I definitely think I've seen that in like a very short term or fast situation with a lot of our new members on our team, figuring out where they fit best in terms of a role on an FTC team. We have some students who are going to CAD. We have a couple students programming, some doing mechanical, and even some find their place in like less technical areas like marketing or like bookkeeping with our engineering notebook. And we have a lot of members finding their place, and I definitely think that looking at that from an external perspective, I've definitely realized how much first really ramps up someone's like sense of discipline and kind of introspection, because a lot of these students look at themselves and figure out what they do best, and then they push forward and keep doing that to make sure that everyone's putting their best foot forward on the team.
Yeah, I mean, also like as you mentioned, the variety of stuff you could do on an FTC team as well. Really encapsulates how First has created this environment where you can learn, not just mechanical skills and not just these personality traits, but these lifelong social skills that you'll need for any type of professional position, not even ones just in the STEM field.
Yeah, no, I definitely agree. I think, especially with the communications you need, is, if teams work on outreach a lot, then they are put in situations where they have to communicate. If they want to, find a location that they want to do an exhibition at or an event at, they have to talk. If they want to bring people in for presentations or whatnot, they have to reach out and communicate with them. And I think that communication is one of the biggest assets that First gives students, because no matter where you go in life, you're always going to need that.
Yeah, and our outreach itself is also one of the most valuable parts of First. They have like just the sense of community that you get with First. It's very similar to kind of the sense of community I get when I'm like on my college campus. Um, and it's the sense of community I still get right now, like doing this interview. So being able to connect with the members on the team still, even though I've graduated and moved on. Um, and it's something that lasts more than just those 4 years in high school.
Yeah, I definitely agree, and I know we also know some other members of FTC who are even older than us that have also experienced this, where they can always come back and connect, because the environment that FTC creates for students is something that can be found in a lot of professional environments. And I think, speaking with other alumni, it's definitely a valuable asset in terms of communications, cohesion, and just overall, ensuring that there's good teamwork.
I totally agree.
So how do you think that your time in First and being a member on an FTC team has changed your perspective on yourself, or maybe changed your personality?
Yeah, I think a lot of the personality changes I got had to do with just like really the idea of being on a team, being committed to the team and to another group of people. Definitely made me more considerate, aware, acknowledging of other people. I think it's made me more sophisticated in like my decision making. And I think it's made me like more just like a mature as a thinker. I feel like I think a lot of that had to do with the leadership that I contributed to the team, but also even the year after, where once I kind of knew what my role was on the team, how to play that best, how to help the team even outside that role. Being able to recognize kind of when it's my time to focus the team's effort on whatever I was doing and where I needed to slow down and help whoever else I needed to help and what the team needed most. I think that's just kind of how my personality shaped up.
Yeah, and I could definitely seen that, having spent a couple years with you on your tail end of your time with FTC. And I can say, for me personally, looking back on myself, I definitely think that even outside of all the stuff it takes to be a member of an FTC team, First has definitely helped me grow as a person. I think one of the things for us specifically, because we're part of a school club with other sister teams, you see people around you screw up, and I think it made me be able to accept mistakes a lot more easily, because if I was working on a part, or if we were working on our robot and we got the auto ready. We were testing it out on the field in front of all of our other teams, and it didn't work. When that first happened, I was kind of embarrassed. I was like, all these other teams are going to see us, not do this correctly. And then it's like, now I'm like, that was our first time. Well, let's, going to our team name, let's go back to the drawing board. Let's restart all this and kind of figure out how we can fix it. And I think being able to accept mistakes and move past them is definitely my biggest growth from the team, I'd say.
It's a great growth to have. Being able to have that skill to kind of recognize your failure, be able to move past it, but not be like ashamed of it, is just really good and immense skill to have. Because life's not perfect. You're gonna have to. There's gonna be times where you have to pick yourself back up, and nobody else can pick you up but yourself, right? So.
Yeah, no, that I can definitely understand that, and I'd say I definitely think that with first, there's also the idea of being on a team. You socialize outside of the club too, or outside of the team. You still are able to interact with people, and I definitely think that's affected me a lot. I was wondering how you felt about it. I know that you were friends with a lot of the team members in your time, and I'd say how has being on a team together affected your friendship?
I think I got a lot of friendships out of being on that team. I don't know. I don't think you were here for this year when Sarvesh joined, but I was not close to Sarvesh, and Sarvesh is just another alumni of the team. But then being able to spend more time with him, and for him to kind of match my passion with how we felt about robotics together, led us to bond really well. And now we're very close friends, and we still visit each other outside of visit each other's states and campuses. First, did a lot for friendship. Also, the competitions, right? Everyone was always so friendly and pleasant. And it was I met a lot of people there. And even the way our club is organized with our 4 sister teams, a lot of people I'm meeting outside of our team that I'm still friends with to this day. I'm not sure if you remember a rule on the Thunder Deck.
I remember him.
Right. Same thing. We're still very close friends. Yeah. I mean, everyone kind of has this collective mindset to, participate, and be excited about, being on an FTC team, and that just does wonders for your ability to make friends.
Yeah, no, I totally agree, and I think if you remember when I joined, I remember my first day walking into our workshop, and because we have a bunch of sister teams, we'd have students apply to the club, and then they would go to a team. And I looked at the new members who'd be joining 5795, and I saw it was me and 2 other members, and I looked at the names, and I realized I was going to be on the same team as 2 of my oldest and best friends, Zeal and Arvin, if you remember. And and it was interesting because I've known these guys since I was a little kid. Zeal is the first friend I've ever had since other than family, right? I've known him since I was younger than 3 years old. And Arvin I've known for a bit too. I've known him since kindergarten, and I always think it's really nice to have people that you've always had fun with growing up, and then be in a situation where you have to work together and realize that you guys get closer, because that bond means you're understanding of each other. You work together, and you're also willing to hear each other out. And I definitely think that a change of perspective I've had on friendships and socializing and these sorts of environments is that I used to think if you're in a stressful environment, if you're in a very time-sensitive environment, you would get stressed out and maybe even annoyed at other people. But in reality, what I've seen is you actually get closer because you guys are all trying to get to a common goal. You're trying to work together, and I definitely think that there's never like animosity towards each other. And in fact, there's never even putting differences aside. It's let's meet in the middle. Let's compromise, or let's look at our differences and let's, accept each other for those differences. And I think all that comes from the fact that you're in an environment where you to understand that when it comes to stuff like designs, everyone has a different idea for design. When it comes to outreach projects, everyone has a different idea for what an outreach project should be, and all this stuff. And you're in an environment where you have to communicate and compromise, and that definitely implicitly leaves behind some social skills.
Have you had any experience doing that this season?
I definitely think we did. I think this current season robotics FTC, the game is fairly simple, but I definitely think that the robot itself and how we could have approached the game in power play could have a multitude of possibilities, or that we could have approached it with, and different members had different ideas, and it was sort of the way we treated it was let's put everything on the table, and we can eliminate things one by one until we reach what we eventually want, and that's essentially how we did it. I remember after kickoff, we went to our workshop and just sat down for like 2 hours, notebooks and drawing boards and markers and all this stuff, drawing designs out, and even stuff like how we're going to do our auto. And now that we're doing driver practice before our competition, it's how we're going to actually score points, right? There's different ways you can do it, and I think part of it is we've now gone to, in some ways, everyone has an idea to contribute to the team, and we figure out what everyone can agree on. And other times, it's like, this person knows best how to do this. Let's trust them. And I think putting faith in everyone or putting your faith in one person has definitely helped us so far, because we're doing really good this year, I feel. Pre-competition, at least.
Awesome.
And I think that was a lot, unless you have something to say, if you want to leave behind anything to all the other FTC members listening, or future FTC members who are listening.
No, I mean, just, thank you for the interview. I had a really good time talking to you and catching up. Keep you updated on the team's progress. And good luck with your qualifiers.
Yeah, thank you. And it was good talking to you too. It was nice. It's always nice to see someone like react to how a team's grown since they've been gone. Like I know, Shiv, who's another alumni, he came by at TSL recently, and he was seeing a robot. He was seeing our workshop, and it was nice seeing him. And his dad also came by, and just them seeing how things change. It's always nice to see alumni always like reconnect with their old work.
Yeah, I mean, I can't imagine what TSL will look like in a couple of years.
I can't imagine either.
But I'm glad it's like a lasting legacy, and so many students are being able to experience it.
Yeah, I think one last thing is, I definitely think first leaves a very special impression on people, and it helps them grow even immediately, because even though a lot of people like seniors and whatnot have graduated and have moved on, the feeling that first gives hasn't changed, even though it's almost entirely new people. Since now I'm a senior and I'm going to be leaving soon too, it's like the entire workforce in TSL, the teams, the members are all different, but the vibe is the same, and I think that's very interesting.
I think so too. I'm really glad it could be like preserved over so many years.
Yeah, I definitely think so too. Maybe maybe one day I'll be giving an alumni interview like you are right now. And I'll be able to reconnect.
Oh, I hope, I hope.
Yeah. All right. Thank you so much, Taha, and I hope that you have a great day, and wish you the best of luck in your career prospects at Georgia Tech.
Thank you so much. It means a lot. All right. Have a good night, man.
All right. Have a good night.